Good evening and welcome to Momentum Chat. I am Majida Bay,
I am John Epting.
and this is Financial Literacy Month. April is Financial
Right.
Literacy Month. So we're going to actually be talking about money this month, right? We're going to finally talk about money again. So stay tuned, share with a friend, like it, and definitely stay tuned. We'll be getting started in just a couple seconds.
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you, John?
I'm incredible. How about you? I'm excited for April.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
financial
doing
literacy.
well. Yes. One of our months to bring some things to people's attention. So,
Yeah.
um, one of the things I was thinking about is like for people, right? For those that are listening in, if you have a tough time talking to your friends and family about finances, just invite them to come listen to us, right? They might not listen to you, but hey, maybe they'll listen to somebody else who's a professional who has some experience and knowledge in our industry. And so we definitely want to add some value to you this month. So our topic
Hmm.
is on wealth, right? The
Yeah.
wealth formula, right?
Well,
There's a
yep.
formula to build wealth, right, John?
Yeah. Yeah. This is it's funny how you said if people are uneasy on talking about money. And I'm noticing the only people who have a problem talking about it is the people who don't have any. When those are the
Mm,
ones who should talk about it the most, right?
absolutely.
The only way we get better, scriptures say that iron sharpens iron. And in order for iron to sharpen iron, they have to come in contact with each other. They have to come in close contact with each other. And iron, if you ever seen iron hit each other, there's a spark.
Mm.
so so some fire may be created in the ironing, sharpening iron, but we actually all become sharper. And I think if we stay away from these so-called taboo topics, we don't get better at them. So I'm excited to talk
I,
about this stuff this week.
I agree. I agree. That definitely makes a lot of sense. Right? You can't what do you say? You inspect what you expect, right? You can't improve
Absolutely.
what you avoid. So we gotta address it. We gotta deal with it face to face. And so let's hop right into it, John. I think the people that are listening to this, they want to know, right? I said that this the two keys to building wealth, right? And I said that because, right, there's essentially two assets that we all have. One we all have in great abundance, all right? So I'm not gonna steal, right? One we have in great abundance. The other one we have to learn how to get, right, or learn how to keep.
Hmm.
But it's something that any and everybody can learn how to do. That's what I loved about when I first met you. You shared me some information with me that I'm like, everybody can learn this. Like it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be difficult. Right?
Yeah,
They can teach it in middle school, right? If they wanted
absolutely.
to.
Absolutely.
So, that in and of itself was empowering to know that this is something that I can learn, right? It's not something that you have to be born with. It's something that you could actually learn. So, can you share real quick with our audience what is the wealth formula?
Oh man. Um, well, it's kind of an equation. The way we break it down is an equation, and it starts with money. And it's funny how you said we have two things that we have abundance of, right? And I know you say that loosely because we none of us really know how much time we have, right? But one of our most powerful wealth building tools is our income.
Hmm.
Most people think it's like Bitcoin or I got to invest in real estate. Well, it's actually your income. Can you start there? Can we just start with the simple parts out right now that's already
Yeah.
coming in? Everybody try to make finances simple, and I'm glad you said what you said in reference to me. I actually just read something on LinkedIn, an endorsement. Somebody endorsed me, and I hadn't seen it and hadn't read it in its entirety. It's kind of long, and I was shocked. I literally had to text back to the person, wow, because I didn't even know. I don't think I knew that about me, right?
Mm.
So and I love the fact that you said years ago when you first met me, the things I share with you, and I share with you some good stuff, some deep stuff, but I guess the way I shared it with you, you saw that you could learn it. It's not that
Absolutely.
hard. You don't need a degree in this, right? You don't need to. I'm just being really honest. You don't. Of course, I could say nope. You got to come and see me, and it's not going to work unless you see me. I'm not going to say that to you because you can learn it. It's not that
Yeah.
difficult. If a guy like me can learn it, anyone can learn it. And I don't say that to be humble. I really believe that.
Yeah.
I really believe people can learn it. So the wealth formula starts with money. Now, of course, the more money you have or you accumulate or the better you use your money will dictate how much faster these other things will play a part, right? So it starts with
Yeah.
money, right? But
Okay.
then we have to pay attention to a couple of things. Let me give you one. The next thing we need to pay attention to is what, Majida? Time. I'm glad you said
Fine.
that we have an abundance of time. Well, I don't know, the good Lord might take me out tonight, but I would like to believe I have an abundance of time.
With the time that you have, right? Use the
With the
time
time that I have,
wisely.
right?
Use it wisely.
Take this ring off. But with the time that I have, I need to do the right things with it. But when we're talking about the wealth formula, it's not timing, it's time in. See, the sooner
Mm.
you start, the sooner you get involved, the sooner you start putting some things in place, the easier this stuff becomes. As a matter of fact, it creates a habit. Last week we talked about habits, if you will, or also disciplines, right? I believe God created us not to be disciplined. He created us to be habitual, right? The purpose of discipline is to create a habit, right?
Yeah.
And if you start putting money away and start doing the right things, saving it, I'm noticing this trend on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. Like saving's a bad thing. No, you got to do
Mm.
both. You got to save and then invest, right? There's a
Yeah.
geometric progression to this, right? Because let me tell you something. There's something called Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. All right. So
Yes.
if you don't have things in place properly, and I've seen this personally, first of all, it happened to me, but then also I've seen it happen with clients and families I serve. If you don't have things in place and you start to go out and invest, that's when something bad
Mhm.
happens. And next thing you know, you're pulling from the investment to take care of the bad thing because you didn't have an emergency fund, because you didn't have some savings, right? So you have to. These are people who are putting money in their 401ks, i.e., we'll call it a savings. It's a sucky investment. It's a crappy investment, but it's something, right? They're putting
Yeah.
money in their 401ks, but they don't have an emergency fund. They don't have money sitting in savings. So therefore, as
Yeah.
soon as something bad happens, guess what they're doing? They're drawing from They're drawing from the 401k, being charged a 10% federal penalty plus taxes if they're not 60 years old. Right?
Yeah.
Those are the types of things. But the sooner you start this stuff, the better. I wish I
Yeah.
knew this stuff when I was 19, or I wish I was mature enough to take action. Sometimes
Mm.
people always, oh, I wish I knew this. Yeah, you might have known it, but you might not have been mature enough to take action.
Yeah.
That's just the truth, right? It's stuff I knew I should have did a long time ago, but it wasn't until later in my life I was like, okay, John, you got to do this now. Like, stop being an idiot, right? So time is a big deal. Hey, the sooner the better, and you don't need a lot to get started. You don't need money. You don't need a lot to get started. You just need to start, like
Yeah.
right away, like yesterday. All right. Now we got money. That's a cool asset, right? You should use it to your advantage. Time can be your enemy or your ally.
Mm.
I'll talk more about that next week. Time can be your enemy or your ally. It's up to you, right? But that's one. That's an asset. But here's another one you got to pay attention to, right? Not just time. What's the rate of return? What's the interest? What's your ROI? What's your rate of investment, right? Return on investment, right? That's super important too. So you could be putting money in a way, and you started early. But if your money wasn't growing, wasn't earning interest, wasn't listen to this part, right? Please write this one down. If your money wasn't outpacing inflation,
Mm.
outpacing inflation. In other words, if inflation is at 4% and your money's not earning 4% consistently, you're behind. You're
Don't
already
get ahead of
behind.
him, John. Don't get ahead of him, John.
Huh?
Don't get ahead of him. Don't get ahead of him.
I'm
Real quick,
sorry.
before you continue, I want a couple points that you made, right? I love how you said it's not timing, it's time in, right? Because everybody
Yes.
thinks you have to like get in at the right time, but it's just a matter
Yes.
of getting started. And then when you
Yes.
said about saving, right, where a lot of people feel like, oh, I want to invest, but you gotta, in order to invest, you have to keep some of the money that you make. That's where saving comes in, right? Keep some of the money that you make so that you can invest it, right? But you need to have that emergency fund, that cushion, if you will, in order to be able to mitigate losses, right? If you have them. And
Yes.
the point that you made about a 401k, I've actually helped a couple clients recently. They're heavily contributing to their 401k, and I'm like, look, that's great. You're doing a great job. However, you don't have an emergency fund, right? Let's get that emergency fund. Let's reduce what we're contributing to the 401k because they're not matching dollar for dollar up to the amount that you're
Right.
contributing. Let's pull back a little bit, take some of that, and let's build your emergency fund so you have some more liquid cash to be able to do some other things with, right? Whether it's invest or just have that 3 to 6 months, like we like to talk about, for
Mm-hmm.
your savings. So I just wanted to touch on those points because those things came to mind. People that I'm working with daily, those are some of the things that we're actively helping people with, right? It's not about, you could be doing the right things with your money, but maybe not in the right allocation or the right proportion. You're
Right.
putting too much here or not enough there. And that's how working with a professional can help you look at those things, right? That third party looks at it from an objective perspective because you're emotional, right? Like, I just need to put some money away. I need to put it in this 401k because that's what they say to do. And that's what they offer at the job. But like, you don't pay yourself, right? And that money you can't access. I don't like not being able to touch my money. That's just me, right? Like, I want to be able to access it when I want it. And so that whole
Yeah.
50-and-a-half-year-old thing, just that doesn't sit too well with me. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
yes, continue.
I don't frown on that one too much because I do want you to save some money till 59 and a half. I do. Matter of fact, you should self-discipline yourself and lock some money up that
Yeah,
you gonna get a slap on your own hand if you touch it, right? But
right.
so I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is when it comes to 401. I find it just funny how most of our society, right? They act like they don't trust anything, but anything their job gives them, and they don't even like their job. They don't like the people at their job. They don't trust their company. They don't trust any of those people there, right? They're always bad mouthing the team, which is dumb to me. If you're gonna bad mouth the team, maybe you should quit the team. But
Mm,
it's just that's just what I think, right? I've never bad mouthed an organization I'm still a part of, right? I have been out of the Navy for 19 years. I still speak very highly of the United States Navy, the world's finest Navy. I still speak highly of them. Why? Because I played at a very high level as a point guard, I guess you would say, in the United States Navy, and we won championships as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
But that's just who I am. But why do you automatically trust what the job offers?
that's a great question.
That's something you should ask yourself. Don't look at me for the answer. Why do you automatically trust that the 401k must be good because your job gave it to you? You mean the same people that pay you what they pay you? You trust them? That's just something to think about. Hey, you take that home with you. You do with it what you need to do with it. But investigate. Now, here's the funny thing: people will come to you and I at Majida, and they want to investigate everything we talked about, right? But they ain't investigate their 401k and their health insurance plan and all that stuff at their job at all.
Yeah.
They just
I,
dove in.
I'm glad you made that point, John, specifically in terms of health insurance, because I'm one of those people, I go to the doctor like once a year, right? Annual
Right.
physical, right? Or, to my woman's doctor, right? So I do
Right.
that. And I stay pretty healthy, but like I was spending, right, almost $200 a week on health insurance, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
know that deductible, right, that adds up. That's like 10 grand almost per year.
Mm-hmm.
And I might go to the doctor 2 times in a year, right?
Yeah.
Now, it works well when you have a baby, right? So if you plan your pregnancies, which I didn't, right? It was like, all right, I'm glad I got this insurance because I only got to pay a 20% deductible for the hospital bill. But
Right.
I recently changed my health insurance to get the high deductible plan. I can still go to the doctor, but I'm saving $90 a week in
Crazy.
premiums.
Crazy, isn't
So
it?
I take that $90, I invest it into something that's going to work for me. And if I need to go to the doctor beyond the regular physical, I've saved the money up myself, but it's earning
Mm-hmm.
for me instead
Mm-hmm.
of me paying into a policy or to a premium that I'm not going to benefit from unless I have something major. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah,
So these are
investing.
things that play a part in your wealth. I want you to think about that, right? Because I know some people watching this may think we went out on a tangent there, but these things play a part in your wealth. Are you paying attention to them? I remember
Yeah,
9 years ago, last month, my wife and I lost a 5-year-old daughter, and we had one of those high deductible, low premium plans, right? It was called a HSA, health savings account. Some of the people who listen to us, they're
yeah,
offering them on your jobs and whatnot. And since I'm a business owner, right? It made sense for us. It made sense for our family. My daughters were never sick. Our daughter, that was really the first time she had ever been sick in her life at 5 years old. Right,
yeah,
babies normally get ear infections and all these different things. Our kids never got that stuff. I tried to limit the amount of vaccines and stuff they got, right? Because I don't believe in none of that stuff, really, right? I believe a lot of that stuff causes other stuff, right? Some people are
yeah,
going to be mad at me for saying that, but I believe autism comes from that. I believe that's just my belief, right? And from my research, right? I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 in October, right? When I was growing up, I don't remember nobody with a peanut allergy. I don't remember nobody with a shellfish allergy. Now we was from the hood, so nobody was eating shellfish anyway. But but we was all eating peanut butter. I promise you
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And there wasn't no separate group of people who got some other sandwich because they had a peanut. Seriously, I'm
yeah.
just being honest, right? So those things play a part of your wealth. Did you pay attention to the fact that if you're a pretty healthy person, you only go to the doctor once a year, right? Or did you just
And
pick
that's
the most
covered.
robust plan that your job offers? Or did you look for a health savings account type
Yeah,
deal and then invest that other part of that money into a health savings account so that you can have the cash when your $7,500 deductible is due, right? Or your
yeah.
$10,000 deductible, because that's also a tax deduction, right? So these are
Hmm.
part of the wealth plan. By you saving $90 a week, $90 a week, 52 times.
Yeah, it's close to $4,500, almost
That
5 grand.
that is an incredible, listen, that's incredible towards that first line up here, money,
Hmm.
right? Because that increases. So now take that with the time. And then if you're getting a good rate of return, if
Yep.
your interest on that money is doing something for you, you're outpacing inflation. Now it's really looking good. Now, a couple other
Yeah.
things when it comes to the wealth formula though. We got a couple of enemies of our money. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we're all related. Inflation. I already talked about this. Inflation. Some people don't know what inflation is. It's the buying power of your dollar. It's the buying power of your dollar. You could have $100, right? And the $100 value really is based on inflation. It's based on 20 years ago, you could go to a grocery store and buy almost a cart full of stuff for $100, right? Now you might go to a grocery store, you have a grand total of 7 items right there, right? I'm just being really honest,
Yeah.
especially if you're in the meat department, right? Sometimes my wife wants steak and we only eat grass fed, and so $100 is not a lot of money when you're
Yeah.
eating grass fed beef, grass fed ribeyes, right?
Mm.
Or my buddy, no, what was this? No, I'm sorry. This was a couple nights ago. My wife and I went out, and our daughter works at a restaurant down at the oceanfront. So we just wanted to be down in the area for when it was time for her to get off. So we took her. We went to this place, and I had Wagyu beef, right? And
Mm.
yeah, it's another level of beef, okay? And you can
It's
taste it,
what's for dinner.
and you can taste it.
Remember that commercial? It's beef. Beef. It's what's for dinner.
Yeah, beef is what, or pork, right? I've seen that commercial too. So
Mhm.
those types of things, you're buying power of your dollar, right? I remember a time when my family, especially if we were doing some fast food type stuff, right? You can feed the whole family for $10 or something, right? Shoot,
Mhm.
try it, man. You go to fast
I
food
remember
now.
we used to go to Shoney's on Wednesday night, and like every two kids ate free for a paying adult, right? And there was five
Stop,
of us, so they had to pay for one
stop,
kid. And Wednesday nights was like, all right, let's go to
stop.
Shoney's, get the soup, the
Wow.
potato soup. But yeah, I mean, yeah. And I've experienced inflation in my lifetime, right? Like you said, you're 49, I'm 36. And so, yeah, I remember when gas was under $1 a gallon, and you could get a bag of chips for 25 cents or something.
Yep. Yep.
And
Well,
not the case anymore.
you can still get a bag of chips for 25 cents. It's just a lot smaller bag now.
A lot more air in the bag.
Right? A lot more air in the bag, right? So that's inflation, right? A Coca-Cola doesn't cost what it used to. Milk doesn't cost what it used to, right? The cost of things are going up. And there's certain things that just go up arbitrarily, right? Just because they can, right? I noticed college educations on an average go up 8% a year on an average. Right?
Oh.
If anything else had went up 8% a year, we would be occupying everything,
Mm.
right? It'd be protests everywhere, right? Because our government has sold us on the fact that we need a college degree, right? Isn't it funny that they control those, right? That we
Mm.
need a college degree. They've sold it to us that we need it, so they can increase the price as much as they want, and then we don't even question it. We just pay it,
Just pay
right?
it.
Isn't that funny? So inflation is a big deal. You got to pay attention to how much stuff is going to be costing in the future. And that's why your rate of return is so important, because if your money is not outpacing inflation, you're still not going to be able to afford anything. And last but not
Mm-hmm.
least, taxes, right? If you don't structure things properly, right? Taxes can hurt you. Now, I want to dispel a few myths when it comes to taxes, if you don't mind. Uh,
Absolutely.
one. There's no such thing as a double tax. There's no such thing as a double tax. Some people are, oh, I don't want to be double taxed. There's almost no such thing as a double tax. You gotta like purposely do something stupid to get double taxed. Really, I know many people don't know. I just had a client that met with me yesterday. Right, she got this lump sum of money. Of course, I can't go into details on some things. Right, but one of her phrases was, "I don't want to be double taxed." Right, and I had to
Mm.
explain to her, there's really no such thing as double tax. You already paid taxes on that money. Right now, depending on what we do with it, you could be charged taxes on any interest it earns based off of
Yeah.
where we put it and what we do. But other than that, there's no such thing as a double tax. You're not getting taxed again on this.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Super important. There's a lot of myths out there about money. And right, let me tell you what a myth is. Maybe you need the definition of a myth, right? A myth is a lie that's told long enough, loud enough, often enough, with enough passion, and people start accepting it as truth. There's no such thing as tax loopholes. There's no such thing. There's a tax code, and some people are just more educated on it than others. That's it. There's a tax code, and there's things in it that you didn't even know you could do. Good
Mm.
things in there for you, right?
Yes.
That you could structure things. I promise you, 20 years ago, I didn't know this stuff either. Matter of fact, I was one of those, ignorant people talking about tax loopholes and double tax too, right? So I'm not exempt. I'm just more educated now. I'm further along in the book, further along in the movie, right? That's it, right? But now that I know, right, and I don't know this from some other myths of somebody else telling me something. No, these are things I learned, research. Matter of fact, it's written, really, right? The things I do for our clients to help them in tax situations, totally
Mm.
legal, all in the code. There's a line for it.
Mm-hmm.
So so don't concern yourself with that too much, but do know that based off of where you put money, tax is going to play a part, and it can eat your wealth. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Matter of fact, in my opinion, the 401k is the most heavily taxed financial instrument ever invented.
Hmm.
Because most people think, oh, I'm getting a tax deduction because taxes are as low as they're gonna get. We're in the lowest one of the lowest tax times in our country's history,
Yeah.
right? Lowest tax times in our country history. So right now, you don't even need the deduction. Now, here's the other part. Most people, right? If you make under 100 grand, under 175 grand, under 200 grand household income, right? You really don't need the tax deduction.
Mm.
The people who need the tax deduction are in the top 10 to 1% income earners in our country. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're like some of my friends, you like, right, you make 40 grand a month, right? Or another one, 40 grand a week, right? Okay, maybe you need a tax deduction. But here's the funny thing: those type of people don't have a 401k because they don't have a job.
Mm.
They own businesses, so it's different, right? But that's something you should think about, right? Your 401k is the most heavily taxed financial instrument ever invented. They're not paying. You don't pay taxes on the upfront. You pay it on the back end.
Mm.
Two problems with that.
All right.
You don't you don't know what tax bracket you're gonna be in 30 years from now. And
Mm-hmm.
two, you don't know how much money's gonna be in that account. Even as an advisor, we speculate what it might be, right? We give projections, right? I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know 2020 would be so great in the market.
Mm.
How would I knew some of our accounts would do 56%? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Nobody's that good,
Mm.
right? So all the projections just went out the window. Now, of course, everybody's happy. They're happy. Oh my God, it did so much better. Oh my God, thank you. Right? Some people were getting 15% caps in their account last year. It was so awesome.
Oh yeah.
Right? So everybody who had those particular plans in our company, man, they're loving us right now. Right? But nobody knows. Right? So you got to pay attention to that. So let's recap. Money plus time, right? Use it as your ally, right? Plus or minus rate of return based off of what you're doing, right? And then pay attention to the two enemies of your money, right? Inflation and taxes. That's going to equal your wealth. That's going to equal your wealth. Okay. So
All
time
right.
can be your enemy or your ally. Pay attention to that, right? And also just pay attention to all this stuff, really, right? And then, hey, Majida, let's talk about time in a different way, right?
Okay.
And I know you want to. I know you got probably some insight and some interjection to give here, but there's another thing I want you to show when it comes
Yeah.
to time being your enemy or your ally. Okay, but
Okay.
yeah, you want to interject? Was this good or what? What do you think?
No. I want people to hold on. I wanted to get that.
It's
I
okay.
want people to don't give away the movie, John, right? This is just the first scene, right? So this is the first week
I
for
know.
Financial Literacy Month.
I
So we're
know.
going to be talking specifically about time and money, right? We're going to spend a little bit more time on that for the rest of this chat. But stay tuned the rest of the month because we're going to go a little more in depth on those other wealth
Yeah.
principles, those other wealth
I'm sorry.
properties. So
I just get so fired up talking about this stuff.
I know, I know. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's why I let you talk, right? Because I can point and click, right? I can just do the producing on the back in the background, let you do all the talking. I recognize I learned something about myself. I only have a limited amount of energy to interact with people, right? So and I'm done for the day. I was up at like 5 something this morning. I had to take a 2-hour drive to a 9 a.m. meeting that got moved at 8:30 to 2 p.m. I was pissed. Right. So like
Okay.
yeah, that kind of threw my day off and my whole, and so anyway, but yes,
Wow.
I love how you teach information, right? Like I learned from you. So like that's what I want our audience to be able to see and hear, how 12 years ago think. Now, 2008. Yeah, going on 13 years, right? I met
Yeah.
you 13 years ago. And because of you teaching me these principles, right? It was simple, right? And I said in my description for this chat, right? It's addition and subtraction, right? It's not multiplication. It's not long division. You don't have
Yeah.
to carry the one, do exponent, none of that. It's addition and subtraction. You add money, you add time, you add a rate of return, right? That's outpacing inflation and minimizing taxation. That's how you can build wealth. So
Yeah.
if you want to learn the rest of the formula, stay tuned the rest of this month. Next week, we'll be talking about rate of return, right? We're going to give you some tangible things to consider in terms
Okay.
of how to get your rate of return. And
Yeah.
then following 2 weeks, we'll actually dive into the enemies of money, right? Like you got to know who your enemy is, right? Because you can't fight an enemy that you don't know, right? You don't recognize.
Yes.
And so it's important for you to understand the impact of inflation and taxes on building wealth. So continue, John. Yes, let's get
Okay.
into
So look,
this example.
we're 29 minutes in. I want to share something. Can you remove that from the screen? Just stop sharing.
Yeah.
And I think what I want to do, I think people are listening to us, or they're listening to me rather, and they're thinking, or they might be like, why is this guy so passionate about this stuff? Like, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't know this stuff. I was a 28, 29-year-old sailor, and I was introduced to some stuff, and it just floored me. And I never thought I would be passionate about this. In all honesty, the only thing I was really passionate about was being a husband, a father, and my military career. I had a lot of fun in the military, so it was real easy. I moved up rank very fast. I did some really cool stuff, and stuff I'll cherish the rest of my life. And I met some really good people. Some of my best friends, Cordell Garrett, Jerry Smith, and Sean Gibbons, and Nathaniel Taylor House, Vincent Harden. These are guys I met in my military career, and Keith Chu. These are guys I love. And so I cherish my military time. But I have to tell you, I didn't have a background at this. So if you're thinking to yourself, man, I sure would like to learn this stuff like he does, you don't have to have a background at this. I didn't. I've never taken a college course a day in my life. Seriously. Seriously, I've never stepped in a college to take a class for anything ever. A lot of this stuff is self-taught, and the company I'm with had a great training program, but a lot of it I had to do on my own. And how I end up being passionate about it is I knew how in the military it looked like I was doing very well, right? But I remember sitting with someone, with the firm I'm with, WFG, World Financial Group, and I remember how much I didn't know. I remember sitting across from that guy, and how much money I made in my 20s, but had nothing to show for it. And I love the fact of how they did things with me, how they never tried to push anything on me. They really tried to educate me. That's why I love Financial Literacy Month, because I believe that's what we do. It's about financial literacy. It ain't about trying to sell somebody something. Or no, my clients will always tell you I never try to push anything on them. Just not my style anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But nope, I just want to teach you like I did with your family, Majid. I just try to teach, right? I'm
Absolutely.
trying to lead people to water so they drink,
Mm-hmm.
right? The water's there, now you drink, right? And I just got passionate about it when the light bulbs were going off in my head, but then I knew I had a gift of sharing it in a way that the light bulb can go off in their head, right?
Yeah.
And I like the description you did for this particular talk today. It's adding and subtracting.
Mm-hmm.
Most people really think we deal with numbers, which is the funniest thing. I know money, you're right. You would think, oh, it's not. It's really strategy. All of us have different goals. We got different dreams, right? So if you make 80 a year, 60 a year, right, 300 a year, whatever, there's different strategies you just need to use to get to your next levels or to get to where you want to go. That's really all we do, right? And if you're a person
Yeah.
that want to learn this stuff, I'm open to you coming to work with us. All right, Majid is
Absolutely.
open to you coming to work with us and learn this stuff just like we did. And we just dove in. Look, I believe people are poor in our nation. And I'm talking specifically the United States. All right, people are poor because of poor is an acronym. It's passing over opportunities repeatedly. That's why you're poor. If you're poor, it's because you passed over opportunities repeatedly. It's not because there is no opportunities. It's because you passed over them. And a lot of times people pass over them because they look like work. People don't like that, right? People don't want to work. People don't want to acquire wealth. They just want to have it,
Mm.
right? They don't want to get it. They want to acquire it. Most of us would love to have an inheritance, right? But we didn't think about the family member who did the work so we could have the inheritance, right? So it's just a different way of thinking. So I just wanted to share that. Look, I'm not better than you. I'm further along in the game. I'm further along in the movie, and my brain moves differently than most. So I look at things a little bit differently. But that's it, right? Anybody can learn this stuff, and we're really teaching you like low level. This is like elementary school stuff we're teaching today, but I love teaching it because if you don't get this, you can't go to graduate school if you don't get the elementary.
Right, right. And that's what I love about it, right? Because and that's what I loved about financial literacy, right? The fact that like not I think the national average reading level is like a third or like eighth grade. Is
Mm-hmm.
like something like that,
It
right?
is.
So like
It
if
is.
most people are reading on an eighth grade level, financial literacy needs to be taught in a way that most people can understand, right? It's not meant, I
Yes.
don't believe this. I don't think it's fair to say that, oh, you have to have a certain amount of wealth or assets to be able to understand money. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs to be able to take care of their family. Everybody needs to be able to put food on the table. And so why can't we teach something at a level that everybody can learn and apply it where they are, right?
Yeah.
You know, what
Yeah.
you make, like you said, 20,000 a year, 30, 40, 300, whatever the case may be, you can apply these same principles, money, time, a good rate of return, outpace inflation, minimize taxation, and you can build wealth for your family. You can
I
leave a
love that.
legacy. When
I
people
love
talk
the way
about
you put that. That was beautiful.
yeah, the
That
way
was
people
beautiful.
talk about creating generational wealth, like even a person working at McDonald's making $20,000 a year can create generational wealth. No,
Absolutely.
they can't maybe take the vacations to Tahiti,
Bora
right?
Bora. Yeah.
Right, but right, maybe they can't do that as regularly, but
Mm-hmm.
they can be the person in their family that builds that foundation, that plants that seed, so that the next generation could possibly do that, right?
Well,
So
I believe the person at McDonald's can do that too. And this is why. If you get these foundational things down and you do them right,
yeah,
guess what happens to your brain? You start thinking of things a little bit differently. And now you're
hmm
thinking of side hustles like Turo, right? You're doing drop shipping. You're making money from Airbnbs and stuff like that. I'm talking about
yeah,
Airbnbs you don't even own, but you're making money from them.
yep.
Once you start learning the basics and you start moving, your brain starts moving at a higher capacity as well, right? I just talked to a buddy who just invested a certain number, right? It's five figures, right? So not a lot of money, but he invested some money recently, and he's getting ready to do some things maybe with Amazon and stuff like that. But what I respect about that is the fact that he's stepping out. He's going
Yeah,
beyond his own thinking. And I told him, I said, look, man, you're gonna get into rooms where it's gonna be uncomfortable to be in that room. Stay in
yeah,
that room, right? Because if you
absolutely.
stay in that room, next thing you know, your brain is moving to another capacity. Then now you're now able to do that. Fast forward a year, 2 years from now, the stuff they were talking about, it was actually foreign to you. It sounded like they were speaking, Swiss, right? Now you can do it. You see what I'm saying? I don't even know if Swiss is a language, but you get what I'm saying, right? Next
Absolutely.
thing you know, you're able to do that, and most people don't want to come out of their comfort zones,
Yeah.
right?
They don't want to feel
And
embarrassed or whatever, but like you can't, like we said
yeah,
earlier, you can't fix
yeah,
what you don't
yeah,
address, So
yeah. Well, we have this, especially in the United States, we have this approval addiction. We want
mm,
everybody's approval. We're looking for people. I had to get over that like really early in my life, right? And as I've gotten older, especially being the oldest of 9 children, I'm told it like whatever. I don't really care what none of y'all think. Is I got to do what's right for me and what call on my life and what how I'm supposed. Now, if you want to understand my way of thinking and how I got to that, come and have a conversation with me. But I'm not even voluntarily giving you the explanation because I don't have to. My approval addiction, I'm almost numb in that sense. Now, don't get me wrong. It's certain, and that's why I stay away from certain things too, because I know my brain it'll move towards the negative, right?
yeah.
And the positive, like the thing I read on LinkedIn for me today, and apparently it had been sitting there for a while. I just hadn't seen it, so I clicked it and I read, and it was pretty long. It felt good to read that, but now I'm challenged to make sure I live to that. Right?
Hmm.
It was really good that somebody saw me that way and they respected. And the particular person who wrote what he did on LinkedIn for me, I've been pretty tough on him, right? I've been pretty direct, and I said some stuff he probably didn't like, probably wasn't feeling it. But for him to still see me in this way told me he saw my heart.
Yeah.
He didn't see me as me jabbing him out of spite or, no, I'm challenging you to be better because I know greatness was in him. Right.
Absolutely.
And now he's moving in some different capacities and greatness is being pulled out of him and he's being challenged, and which is really a cool thing. He learns a lot about himself and that stuff is cool. But it was really cool to see somebody endorse me who had real interaction with me, not somebody who heard something. to give a different perspective of me. And another girl, while I was in the gym, I looked at something and she said something about, how I am as a mentor and stuff like that. It's really good that people see that stuff in me because I am pretty direct. I think I'm a little bit better in tact, but all those things play a part in your life. And you could learn this stuff, guys. That's all I want to tell you. You could learn this stuff. It's not that difficult, right? Even though you're trying to, I notice a lot of people are trying to jump through they're trying to jump ahead in the movie. They're trying to get to like chapter 8 or chapter 36 before they've been through chapter 1. Right. And that's why I said what I said in reference to this is elementary.
Yeah.
Right. But people trying to jump into options. I can't tell you how many times I'm getting calls about options. Oh, I want to get into options. Or John, how much you know about Bitcoin? And right. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know that whole lot about Bitcoin. Actually, when somebody asked me, I reached out to a buddy of mine who's in it. Shot him a text. He gave me some insight because my brain already moves in that kind of level. I caught what he was talking about like very fast, and it was like, oh, okay, done. Right, because I could just equate it to something else, and it made it real simple for me. I was like, oh, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Right. So dove in. Now it's funny, right? You could actually not know a whole lot about something and be investing in it. Isn't that something? Right.
401k.
Isn't that something? Right. So I said that because whoever's listening to me and you're investing in your 401k and you don't know a whole lot about it, hey, John still do that stuff too. I just do it at a different level.
Yeah. Levels to this. Right. Let me say that. It's levels to this. But I think it's
levels
important.
To this game. You know what I'm saying? It's levels to these bags.
Right? I wanted to mention I was working with a client last week and I shared a concept with him. We talked about the world formula and I shared a concept with him with one of the programs that we have, and he was just like, I'm sold, right? Like, just right, like, sign me up. And I'm like, wait, let me show you some of the other benefits and features. And it was really exciting to be able to like share that information in a way that he could digest it, he could understand it, to the point where he was telling me I want it, right? Like, he understood it well enough to say that I want it. That makes sense. And then he's telling me, he's like, everybody needs to have this. Like, everybody needs, right? And I'm like, we don't have enough people sharing this message. So I definitely planted to see, like, look, we need some help. You can, who better to help the people that you know than you, right? Like, to me, for me, I'm a stranger to them, right? But if you can endorse the same information and they trust you, they have a relationship with you, they're more apt to take action on it than if it's coming from a stranger. So it's so important. Like I said, for those, if you know people who need to learn this information or you want to share this information with them and they haven't been hearing you, right, or they're not digesting it coming from you, have them talk with somebody else, right? A third party, somebody that you can edify, that you can speak highly of, to get the information to them, right? So that's what we want to do. We want to share this information. So, John, can you share, right? I know we're running a little low, but can you share, right? To this week, we wanted to talk about time and money. So I wanted to give people a very concrete example of the impact of time on your money, right? Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna pull. Oh, did I start share? I didn't share yet. Okay.
No.
Okay. Boom. All right.
Oh man. The high cost of waiting. Right. So
yes, sir.
Picture this, guys. I'm gonna just dive right in if you don't mind me, Jada. Right. So picture this. Let's say you had $1 million goal, right? And I know some people listening are like, oh, $1 million is not a lot of money. Until you got a lot of money, until you got $1 million, you ain't allowed to say that. Okay. Yeah, I'm just letting you know. You ain't allowed to say $1 million is not a lot of money if you don't have $1 million. Because it'd be a lot of money if somebody wrote you a check today for $1 million and you don't have $1 million. Now the guy's already making 7 figures a year. That guy allowed to say that. The guy already making $500,000 a year. He can say that. You making 80, you ain't allowed to say that. Right? You
Unless you
making
got $1 million
125.
saved.
Yeah, you making 125. You ain't allowed to say that. Or you ain't got $1 million in your 401k IRA already. You ain't allowed to say that, right?
Yeah.
But just picture this. Just stay with me though. If you had $1 million in retirement, let's say you had $1 million retirement goal. As a matter of fact, I'll put it in perspective this way. If you had $1 million and you invested $1 million somewhere and it could only earn you 6% a year, I forget what's on the page, 6% a year. Do you know that's $60,000 a year in interest? If you stuck it somewhere and it earned 6% a year, you could peel off $60,000 a year and take that out in interest alone. You ain't even touched $1 million. Does that sound like a lot of money now? I'm just saying. That's now you need to come up with your FIN number, your financial independence number. Like, what's the number you need in an account somewhere earning 5, 8, 6, 8% that could earn enough money that you could live off the interest? That would be really cool. But let's say you had $1 million goal. You had $1 million. I just want to get to $1 million by the time I retire. I say retire loosely, right? But I want to get $1 million before I retire. Let's say you want to retire at 65, right? And you're going to invest the money somewhere where it's going to earn 8% a year, tax deferred. So I'm going to play like your 401k, right? Got $1 million. Today, you're 25 years old. You got $1 million goal. You want to invest it for the next 40 years, 65. Do you know you only need to put away a little less than $10 a day to get to your $1 million? $10 a day, right? So if you stay away from Starbucks, McDonald's, dang, so stay away from Chick-fil-A. You could.
I went there today.
Right, stay away from Chick-fil-A, right? Stay away from Starbucks. Boom, you got your $10 right there, right? And for $286.45 a month, earning 8%, you'll reach $1 million. No sweat.
Let's go.
That's
I'm
pretty
not
cool.
25 anymore.
Huh?
But I said I'm not 25 anymore, but let's go.
Yeah. Well,
I started at about half that. Yeah.
That's not the problem though. The problem is when we were 25, we weren't thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody put it into perspective to show us the value of doing this. So guess what we do? We wait.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, you look up. You ain't 25. Right? You 35. You 30. Right? Now think about that. That's only 5 years. It's only a 5-year difference. So instead of you doing it at 25, you decide to wait. You still got your $1 million goal, except now you don't want to do it in 40 years. You want to do it in 35 years. But I want you to look at how much more it's going to cost you to do it now. Look at this number. $435. But guess what? When you're 35, right? Or when you're 30, you ain't think about this yet. Why? Because now you're married and y'all just bought a house. And now you got to furnish the house so you can show it off to all your friends and family that you don't even like.
Pay off the debt from the wedding.
Right? Pay off the debt from the wedding. And people build, listen to this. People buy new houses in new developments and then renovate it.
My father told me about an example of that.
You just got the house. The house is brand new. You changing the floors already. You changing the fixtures. Oh, we
should have bought a fixer upper.
We need a ceiling fan. You get what? You just got the house. Man, we ain't fixing nothing until it's broke. What the hell wrong with y'all? Like what? What you doing? No, I've never understood that. But people do it all the time, right? So guess what? They wait again. Except now they 35. And they don't have 35 years to make this goal. Now they only got 30. And look how much more it is now. It ain't $286 no more. It's $670. But guess what? Now they got kids.
Mm-hmm.
And now the kid want the PlayStation 9. the Nintendo double switch in the.
Or they got a part-time job at 6. called gymnastics.
Yeah, gymnastics or soccer, right? Kids, parents spending all this money on soccer, and your kid ain't even good, right? Right? You putting your son in football, he's scared to get hit. Put him in something else, right? I'm just saying.
It ain't for him, right?
I'm just saying. And your kid not even competitive. You know the cool thing about your child, Majida, is your daughter is super competitive.
She
So
is.
even if she wasn't talented, which she already is talented, but even if she wasn't talented, she'll make it up with hustle.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
These people spending all their money on this stuff, and their kid ain't got no hustle and no talent.
I saw this little girl yesterday tell her mama, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. I don't want it. It's boring. Look, good. I tell my daughter if she think about quitting something, I'm like, I can take you out. Look, if you're
Done,
not investing,
done,
I'm not gonna
done.
keep investing if you're not investing. But
Right?
yeah, she
One of the
four
things
four or
I've
5 year old
always
girl.
one of the things I've always loved about my 16-year-old now, over the years, the things we put her in, she wanted to be in them. And the
Mm-hmm.
second she didn't want to be in them no more, we wasn't in them no more. Of
Yep.
course, we would, encourage her and challenge her, and you ain't giving this up because it just got hard, are you? And
Yeah.
nope, nope. And the cool thing I can say, my daughter always left at the top of her game of anything too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, except for that soccer thing. But, I mean, she was 4. I mean, she was 4, so I'm gonna give her a break on that. She was 4 years old, right? But when
Mm-hmm.
but other than that, right? When she left ballet, she was at the top of her game, man. She was just like, nope, I got another hustle I want to go do now.
Yeah.
And as I'm speaking, she's at that hustle right now.
Yeah,
Right?
my daughter
So
told me yesterday. She said, thank you for putting me in this sport, right? Like she
yeah.
appreciates, right? 'Cause she's been in it. It'll be 3 years in July, right? So she's
Mm-hmm.
been doing it for a while now, and she's had some ups and downs with it, but she's at this point now where like she started. And I told her, her coach told me yesterday, yeah, in July she's going to be moving up to the next level. Practice is going to be 3 days a week for 3 hours per day. I'm like, this is a part time job. Like, ain't
Yeah.
child labor love,
They need to be paying you.
right?
They
I'm
need to
like,
be
look,
paying
you gonna get
you.
dropped off. I'll come back.
Right?
I'm gonna go get some work done.
Some of the fees
But
should be coming back to the parents. But yeah, I've been trying to put my daughter, well, not trying to put her in it. I take that back. But we did mention to her a form of martial arts for many
mm,
different reasons. I have some martial arts backgrounds. And, my wife wanted to maybe get in one, so we looking in jujitsu for her. Right, good friend of our young girl that we know, she's taking it on and she's doing incredible at it. And we just thought it'd be good for Jessie. Jessie, like, not interested. She want to keep her hustle and stuff like that. So Dad's gonna teach her some stuff like that. Continue to do my thing. But hey, that's just the deal, right? But we're not sacrificing. Listen, we're not sacrificing our financial independence for this stuff.
yeah,
Does that make sense? I love my kids, right? And I don't believe in sheltering kids from the real world either, because at some point they leave in your house, mom and dad, right? And I'm hoping you taught them how to overcome some of this stuff instead of just
mm-hmm.
running back to you. That's the deal. I guess I was lucky to be the oldest because there wasn't no running back, right? When it's they got nine children.
There ain't no
So there
room.
wasn't ain't no room, right? So I was lucky to have that, right? But look, I want the reason we're showing you this, right? Pop up the rest, Majida. The reason we're showing you this is because we want you to know time can be your enemy or your ally. Time can be your enemy or your ally. It's super important that you understand that. So you need to put time on your side. Get started right away. Look how much longer, look how much more it costs you just for waiting. Right? I tell all the families I work with, right, that procrastination always costs more. Procrastination. Oh, I'll give you an example. You ever heard something go wrong in your car, and you know you need to go get that checked out, but you wait, you wait, and you hear it every time you start the thing up, right? You wait, and something that could have been repaired, now you got to replace because you just, or you feel your car. Hey, this happened to me last year, 2020. I felt my car pulling to one side. but I procrastinated on going in to make sure to check the alignment. When it's finally time for me to go in, and I was just going in for an inspection. In our state, we got to do an inspection, right? I couldn't pass the inspection because the tires had wore to a point, right? All because I procrastinated, right? So what would have cost me $10, the inspection, ended up costing me $800, tires and the inspection. Oh, and the alignment. But thank God I got good friends. I got people who own shops, so don't worry about that part. You know, that's my life. You don't
Yeah.
worry about what I'm. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm grown. I create good relationships so people will do things for me, man. You take care of people,
Yeah.
they take care of you. You know, so I've given a lot of people free advice on business stuff and put contacts out there for people, so people do things for me, right? But yeah, it still cost me seven. I think it was like 780 altogether, right, for the tires, and that's only 2 tires on my car. It's the 2 front tires, right? The inspection, right? The alignment, got to get them mounted, got to get them balanced, got to get in a 4-wheel alignment. And my tires are different. They're staggered. Right? Back tires are bigger than the front. Cost me more money. So time can be your enemy or your ally, guys. The biggest nation in the world is procrastination, right? So it's a couple of disciplines you need to understand, right? One, you need to pay yourself first. Super important. You need to pay yourself first, right? What do I mean by that? That don't mean going out buying a duty bag or going out buying I don't know, I don't even know the bags now because my wife don't care about them, right? But a Kohan bag or a Coach bag or Michael Kors bag, whatever it is, whatever the thing is, right? The newest Jordans, I know that's a thing, right? Or the newest Air Maxes or whatever, or off whites or whatever. Make sure you pay yourself. Pay yourself like you a bill. Put some money away for the future. The second thing you need to be consistent. Just like you got to pay your cell phone bill, your electric bill, your water bill consistently, right? You need to save and invest consistently,
Rosie, come over.
right? Last but not least, you got to think long term, right? And that's another blessing in my life. I guess I've always thought long term. I'm just a long term type of dude. We gonna get in and we gonna stay in. I don't be looking for the next new thing. I heard this a long time ago, and I've been saying this in talks for years now. How do you kill a man with a dream? You give him a second one. You just took his focus.
Wow.
How do you kill a man with a dream? You give him a second one. Because now he gonna chase both rabbits, and both of them gonna get away. I'm not saying don't do a whole other things, but what I am saying is be long term, be a long term thinker, get in, stay in, right? Give it your all, and before you leave something, make sure you gave it your all,
Yeah.
right? So many people quit stuff. See, that's a problem in our world, right? We got too many options. Yeah, we got a disease called FOBO, fear of better options. Yeah, that's the honest God truth, right? Why is the divorce rate over 60% now? Fear of better options, fear of missing out, stuff like that. Real talk. Most people don't commit to anything anymore. Most of the people that's listening to my voice right now can't tell me the last time they've given something their all. Has anything ever received all of you? Probably not. So therefore, you can't assess how much is really in you. That's just the facts. And some people don't like to hear that because they think they gave it they all. But no, you moped around. You didn't give it your all. You didn't put all into it. You didn't burn the boat, right? And that's something you should really think about. I'm not just talking about in your finance. I'm talking about everything in your life. Your marriage, your last relationship, your career, wherever you work right now. Wherever you work right now, they should be getting your all. I know that sounds weird in our world today, but you should be giving it, you committed to it. So you should. That's enough on my soapbox today.
No,
But
no,
I'm hoping
no.
I'm hoping you guys got a lot out of at least this little bit that I gave you. This is like preschool stuff, but it's enough knowledge to kind of make you dangerous, because really how you win financially is you got to change what's up here first. You got to change your financial blueprint. You got to change the way you think about money, right? You got to know that there's an abundance in this world, right? It ain't scarce. Everybody did not have a hard time in 2020. I know I am totally controversial in saying that, but I want you to pause for a minute. Everybody keep, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, they keep telling you how everybody's doing so bad. The whole country's going horrible, but the stock market is record highs right now, right? And most of the people I talk to who keep telling me that, man, it was a tough time for a lot of people, they can't name two people in their own circle where things were bad for them. They can't name somebody. I'm not saying people didn't, right? I know people in the hospitality industry dealt with some stuff. I know some bartenders and some waitresses dealt with some stuff. I know that. I know my sister-in-law who owns her own spa dealt with some stuff. I know that, right? But the vast majority of us, right? It is not what the media has told you. Most people just shifted to working at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people who lost their jobs were making more on these stimulus packages than they were at that job. So most people did not struggle. Sorry.
You were doing all right.
Yeah, sorry. And I know we lost some people, but you got to ask yourself, did we really lose them to COVID, or did they already have some sicknesses? I'm just asking. These are just questions, right? You answer them for yourself. Just
No, that's
saying.
good.
Just saying. I know I'm controversial, but hey, guess what? That's why my life look different. I don't think like everybody else. And shame on you for asking me to think like you.
No, that's good. That's good. I appreciate it. This is fun. This is fun. So I hope for those that have been listening, hey, if you got some value out of the conversation this evening, share it with a friend. Have conversations about it after this, right? But the conversation is not going to end tonight. We will be talking more about this wealth formula over the course of this month. And coming up in May, we're actually going to change our platform a little bit. And we actually want to start talking to some of our audience, right? Talking to some of the people that we've even able to serve or who see value in this information so that you can hear from a different perspective,
That's
right?
right.
Financial literacy and how financial education has benefited others in their life. I know you're hearing like, oh, y'all are in that industry. Y'all just know this stuff. But, like I mentioned with the individual I worked with last week, when you can share information, right? You can pass that information on. You can pay it forward to someone else in a manner that they can digest it and understand it, right? Like how much of an impact is sharing it with that person. It doesn't just help that one person. It helps
That's
that
right.
person family, right? And then
That's
from
right.
their family, help their extended family and their community. And so you can actually impact so many more people. We got to be willing to have conversations. We got to be willing to talk about this stuff.
Absolutely.
And that's how we're going to get better. So we're going to continue to talk about this. This was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, John, for sharing your insight and your expertise and knowledge on this topic of wealth and
Fine.
helping people with time and money. So if you want to move forward, you want to be able to take the next step, and you can always reach out to us, John C. Epting Jr., all right, on all platforms,
Or JC.
and JC Epting, and I am Majida Bay. So we definitely appreciate you all spending some time with us this evening. We look forward to chatting with you next week. Any final words, John, before we get off?
Hey, we're doing this because we care, and we know how much more of a legacy you could leave for your family and build one, right? With the right level of knowledge, and then you implement it. So we appreciate you listening in. Thank you.
Awesome. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
Next week.